friends, how are we doing? It's wonderful to be back on the channel. Today we'll continue our discuss. We are discussing about the angiosperms, and be looking at the female part of the angiosperm. And then we'll round it off by looking at what happens at fertilization for the angiosperm. Now, the female part of the angiosperm, we refer to it as the gymnoecium. Gymnasium. That's the female part. And we know that when we're talking about angiosperms, we have both our monocots and our dicots. Now, the female part of the gymnasium has three major parts. We also refer to it as the pistils. The pistils. And it has three major parts. Three major parts are the stigma, the style, and the ovary. Now, what's the stigma? The stigma is that sticky part of the pistil, that attracts or allows the pollen grains to attach to it. Now, the sticky part has nectar in some plants. Some plants don't have nectar, but it is designed in such a way that it allows the pollen grain, either the pollen grain is from the same flower or from a different flower, it allows it to, stick to it, attach to it, and then fertilization process, later begins to happen. So in the pistils, which we also refer to as the gymnasium, we have the stigma. Then from the stigma, we have the style. The style is like a passage, a long passage, a tube or a passage, a hollow passage or tube that connects the stigma to the ovary. So, we have stigma, style, and ovary. So, stigma is up there, allows the pollen grain to attach to it. Then you have the style, which is the passage. From the style moves to the ovary. Now, what's the ovary? The ovary is the basal part of the flowering plant, and it is enlarged, it's engorged, because within the ovary we have the ovules. The ovules are, what we refer to as the female gametophyte. It is there inside the ovary, and when fertilization takes place, you want to have a union between the pollens and the ovules. Now, this is important for us to know. Now, even the ovary have the ovules, sorry, now not the ovary. We should also know that after fertilization, the ovary becomes a fruit. Meanwhile, the ovules, which are within the ovary, now become seeds. So this is important to note. Now, it's also important to note that the ovules, which we say later become seed, also have their specialized structure, what they look like. And the ovules have what we refer to as the megasporangium or megaspore. And this is important to know. The megaspore has some particular structures within it. And those particular structures within the megaspore include what we call the embryo sac, the egg cells, the synergids, the antipodal cells, and the central cells. All these are within the ovules. So all of these parts, when you also look at outside the stigma within the flower, you have your beautiful corolla, your carpels, your petals, all these are beautiful structures that the flowering plant has. And then we look at the process of fertilization within the flowering plant. What happens in this process of fertilization? Within the process of fertilization, you have the pollen grain. We know the pollen grain is from the anther, from the androecium, the male part of the plant. And this pollen grain now falls on your stigma. And when it falls on the stigma, you have the attachment. Now, the pollen grain, there is what we refer to as a pollen tube. This pollen tube grows out of the pollen grain. It grows out of the pollen grain and grows into the stigma and in through the style. And the idea is that it wants to, drop the sperm cell that is coming from the pollen grain. It wants to drop it right within the ovary, where that sperm cell can have a union with the ovules that are within the ovary of this flowering plant. And when this occurs, fertilization occurs. And when fertilization occurs, a zygote is formed. The zygote is formed, which now begins to grow and germinate within the ovary. And later, you have the formation of a fruit and a new plant. These are all the processes that occur within these are all the processes that occur within our flowering plants. This is all important to know. I hope we understand a little bit of this and we've enjoyed it. Please remember to like our channel, subscribe to our channel as we try to bring you information, classes in science that are simple and easy for us to understand so that we can do well in our exams. To have a beautiful day. Thanks for listening.